The figure depicts the several phases of a honeybee's life. We can observe that the entire life cycle takes 34 to 36 days to complete. It's also worth noting that the honeybee's development is divided into 5 phases, from egg to full adult insect. The honeybee's life cycle begins when a female adult lays an egg. The female normally lays 1 or 2 eggs every 3 days. Eggs hatch in 9 to 10 days. Young bees emerge from the eggs in 5 to 7 days. The nymph molts 3 times as it grows, and lastly, the nymph matures in 4 days. The graph depicts data from the Arctic and Antarctic regions. For example, we can clearly identify the Arctic in this graph, and we can determine it is located atop Earth by seeing it from above. We can observe the yearly average temperature and that the Arctic is rapidly cooling. In the Arctic, we may witness species such as polar bears, who devour seals in great numbers. When looking at the top of the picture, we can clearly see Antarctica, and we can see Antarctica is at the bottom of the Earth, as shown in the graph. Penguins may be seen in Antarctica despite its frigid status as the world's southernmost continent. We can tell how few people live in Antarctica because of its sparse population. This is a helpful image at the end. The procedure outlines the actions necessary to address an issue. In order to begin, you need to identify the issue. The next step is to come up with new concepts. The last phase is deciding on a solution and then constructing the final product. In the 5th phase, the item is evaluated. It is time to deliver the findings. Responding to an issue involves a number of steps, the first of which is articulating the problem and the last of which is providing the results. Average weekly household expenditures from 2015 to 2016 are shown in the graph. On the left, we see food and €123, which includes meals eaten at home and out, vacations and housing, which includes rent and mortgage. Medical costs €50, while transportation costs €125, including the cost of automobiles and gasoline. These are the costs we observe when we glance around the center. On the right, we see everything from apparel and footwear to booze and cigarettes to retirement and further education. The graph, in conclusion, is quite useful and insightful. The troubling state of overall greenhouse gas emissions in the United Kingdom is depicted in an instructive multiple-line graph. There are 3 lines depicting current emissions, predicted ranges, and a million-ton objective for gas emissions. While it is encouraging that actual emissions have decreased dramatically from about 750 million tons in 1990 to just under 650 million tons in 2000, it is unexpected that the anticipated range then jumps to 680 million tons. The exact goal has been established at 640 million tons. To summarize, we may say that the carbon dioxide equivalent gas would climb rather than diminish. The 2-color vertical bar chart shows information on whether people take retirement at their proper age or they retired prematurely. The x-axis shows the years starting from 1998 till 2006. The y-axis is labeled with the number of retirements happened in those years. The numbers are 0 to 20,000. The graph undoubtedly shows an increased pattern where the bar's length steadily increases over the years mentioned in the picture. Back in 1998, where over 5,000 people retired, most of them acted according to their age and not premature. As the years passed, in the end, premature and aged people both showed equal interest in getting retired. The map informs us about the differences between old and new computers. The image on the left depicts an antique computer that is quite large and heavy, and we can see that it is made up of several other devices work. When we look at the new laptop, however, we see that it is very handy and portable. Also, individuals simply need to lay their hands on the keyboards to type sentences. Finally, there is a clear distinction between old and modern computers. The map image is labeled as HAD CM3 model, IPCC says a 2 scenario. It is pretty visible that most of the top or northern portion and some portion in the south of the continent is painted with grey, which means the lands here are not suitable for cereal growing. The middle portion of the map is marked with off-white color, showing that there is no or ignorable change in cereal production. The topmost portion and some portion in the south are of a red color, which means it'll have decreased output minus 50% of more. The green shades are scattered across the map, showing 5 to 25% increase. Overall, the map shows the mixed information on cereal output. This pie chart depicts India's power usage by sector in 2014. Industry consumes the most electricity, followed by the household, agricultural, and commercial sectors. Electricity consumption in the household and agricultural sectors is about equivalent to that in the industrial sector. Electricity consumption in the transportation industry is insignificant. Electricity is mostly used in the agriculture industry to pump groundwater for irrigation. A food pyramid is shown in this graphic. We need to drink a lot of water every day since water is at the bottom of the pyramid. All of these items are shown above the water, showing how important it is that we consume large quantities of them every day. Foods such as milk and cheese, as well as meats such as fowl, sausage and fish, should be consumed in lesser amounts. Sugary beverages and junk food are at the bottom of the pyramid, which means we should consume them less often. Generally speaking, according to the dietary pyramid, we should drink more water and consume less processed food. The percentages in this pie chart show the key market segments in 2013. This is a $57.3 billion market in totality. Single-family houses accounted for 28.9% of the market. Healthcare and educational facilities rounded up the top three, accounting for 13.3% and 12.6% of the total. In terms of market share, apartment complexes and retail had the lowest percentages. Retail had the lowest percentage of the market, while single-family dwellings had the most. Charts showing Apple's revenue, in millions, and gross margin, in percent, from iPhone's introduction. Gross margins peaked in Q1 F 2012 at over 46% and fell to roughly 32% in Q2 F 2008. Revenue has risen steadily, from a low of $5,000,000,000,000 in Q3 F 2007 to a peak of $55,000,000,000,000 in Q4 F 2012. Generally speaking, Apple's gross margin was at its greatest level since the debut of the iPhone in Q1 2012, and its lowest since Q2 2008. Revenue peaked in Q4 of 2012 and fell to its lowest level in Q3 of 2007. As you can see on this map, there is a lot of garbage soup across the planet. To the east of Japan, the eastern rubbish patch is located, while to the east of Hawaii lies the western garbage patch. Translucent sludge of deteriorating plastic debris composes these rubbish swaths. The North Pacific Gyre Current is responsible for keeping this soup in motion. The map's title, Out of Sight, Out of Mind, suggests that these places of garbage soup are not well known. Roots of shoots are seen in the graph. This is evident from the graph, which shows that the seed is the initial step. The graph shows that the embryo is the next phase in the process. According to the graph, the following phase is known as the seed coat, and it's evident why. Using the graph, it's easy to observe that the cotyledon follows. According to the graph, the last phase is known as foliage leaves. At the end of the day, this flowchart is quite helpful. The percentage of students enrolled in 6 courses at a local education institution in the United Kingdom in 2010 and 2012 are shown in the pie chart. In 2010, Social Studies, 27%, had the most students enrolled, followed closely by Nursing, 24%, 25.7%. Sports Science, 11%, and Carpentry, 8%, had the fewest enrollments. More than 2/3 of students in 2012 enrolled in Sports Science, 25.5%, and Social Studies, 21.5%. Carpentry was once again the least popular course, with only 5% of students signing up. When it came to total enrollments, Nursing and Social Studies had the highest levels of interest in 2010, whereas Sports Science and Nursing had the highest levels of interest in 2012. Both years, the number of students enrolled in Carpentry was the lowest. Monthly temperature and precipitation are depicted in this graph. June's biggest value is roughly 5 inches, while January's smallest amount is 1.5 inches, according to the graph. When it comes to the temperature, July has the highest number at 75 degrees Fahrenheit, while January has the lowest figure at 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Finally, the humid and hot weather begins in May and lasts until the end of August. The percentage of Texans killed by weather-related causes from 1988 to 2005 is shown in this pie chart. Flooding and heat-related mortality accounted for the majority of all weather-related deaths. Winter storms, high winds, tropical systems, lightning, and tornadoes all account for around the same number of deaths as other types of weather. Heat and floods were the primary causes of death in Texas. This map depicts the migration path of birds. During the spring, birds go north, while during the autumn, they head south. The bird's winter range extends into South America, as shown by the orange color of its plumage. The blue color indicates that the breeding range is in the north, which includes the northern United States. Most birds migrate long distances throughout the spring and fall. Confidence in the economy was measured by a line graph from January 1990 through January 2008. Consumer confidence was at an all-time high of 85 in January 1990, before quickly falling to a low of roughly 67. Consumer confidence continued to climb and dip during the next years, peaking in January 2002 at 106. Although consumer confidence was once again at 67 in January 2008, the decline was severe and lasted throughout the year. The level of consumer confidence fluctuates constantly, with many peaks and valleys. The graph depicts the evidence found in the rings of trees. Tree growth rings are a great way to tell the difference between hot and cold climates. Because of the wide spacing of the lines, we may conclude that the tree is growing at a faster rate in the warmer environment. Because the lines are so close together, the tree is only developing a small amount at a time in the colder climates we see. As a result, trees thrive in warmer regions where they may develop and expand at a quicker rate. Finally, here is a great illustration of how tree growth rings indicate how the tree develops at varying rates depending on the climate in which it is located.